We're the brothers from the Gathering of Christ Church, and through the Spirit of the Most High, Yhwh, which is the Most High name of Christ, we have went into a more in-depth, detailed study on the name of the Most High. Now, the last time we were going into names and revealing the true name of the Most High and exposing the names that the Masoretes or the Jewish scribes have been pushing in this earth. Since we did it the first time, our old YouTube page was suspended. We were on the street teaching on the 4th of July of this year, and we went into the true name, or the name that the Masons use. And no sooner as we put that up, exposing the name that the Masons is using as their God, that page was suspended. We know that by revealing this information, that soon we will not be able to teach through YouTube. So we thought that we would give this a real good in-depth study on the name of the Most High and the deception behind the names they've given the masses. Research that you can actually go online and see yourself. Books you can purchase yourself. And above all, the information will come through the Bible. Okay. We will not only show you the true name of the Most High, we will show you the deception behind the names we've been calling on, the history of the names we've been calling on in this society. We'll also show you the end result, or the result of calling on these other names. You're going to find there's only one name under heaven whereby men can be saved. You're going to find out that all the names that we've been calling on in our society, they're part of our program, every last one of them. That these names did not come by some spiritual revelation. You're going to find that the majority of the quote-unquote Israelite groups, or the black Israelite groups here in America and now abroad, who teach some truth, fell victim to calling on a name that was already established in the earth. Okay? We ask those brothers, as well as others, to open up your mind. Okay? To open up your mind, look at the study in depth, and then decide if that's the name of the Most High, based on in-depth study. We also ask that you brothers and sisters, once you see this study, we ask that you download it, push it, okay, give it to others, knowing that soon we will not be able to teach through this medium. Okay? The truth is here now, so, you know, our site might get suspended or what have you, but we have to expose the lies that have been taught to the world. That's our job as servants. Now, going into the name of the Most High, because we've been getting a lot of pushback for the last couple of years since we put up the name of the Most High on YouTube, stating that his name is Yhwh. Now, the majority of the groups were out there were fine with us and agreed with our teachings until that piece came out. Okay? And it's a shame. All right. So, even though we would like our brothers to understand that we we mean them no harm, and we're not trying to disrupt or to put a stumbling block before others. We want them to know that we love them, and we're putting this information out there because we love them. Okay? And again, we're going to beg you, look at the information we're going to give you today. And if you find it to be true, once you research it yourself, give it to your congregation. Give it to the brothers and sisters. You younger people that haven't ran into, this might be the first time you ever heard about an Israelite. If you are new, there's a lot of information out there about, the Jews going into captivity, the curses and all those things. You'll find that similar teaching in almost every Israelite group. Okay? That's a give me now. That's no secret who the Jews are or who the Israelites are on the earth. But don't link your loyalty to any man without research. Take the scriptures for what they are, but don't call on another God based on your loyalty to another man. And it's important. I'm going to show you why. Go to Psalms. I'm going to show you why I made that statement. Go to Psalms 96 and 4 and 5. Please. Psalms 94 and 5. Read that.
96 and 94.
One moment, let me grab it here. Psalms 96, 4 and 5. Get that for me.
Psalms 96 and 4. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised.
So the Lord is great, greatly to be praised. Now, we know that his name wasn't Lord. Okay, that was another name that was injected that we'll get into later. But we know the Most High. Okay, he's great. And we should praise him. Read.
He is to be feared above all gods.
And he is to be feared above all gods. Now what is that telling us there? That right there is telling us that there's more than one God in this earth. It's more than one God. If the God of all gods is to be feared above all the other gods in the earth, if the Most High is to be feared above all the other gods, that's proof that there's more than one God in this earth. So we must be careful. Read.
Verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols.
Are what?
Are idols.
All the gods of the nations are idols. Okay? So you'll know the false gods in this earth if there's an idol attached to it. So right there, that rules out the majority of religions you see in this earth. Idols are attached to false gods because the God of the Hebrews told his people that you are not to bow down to any image in the earth. Anything that's in the heaven above, that's made in the shape of the heaven above, or in the earth beneath. Okay? That's Exodus the 20th chapter. Okay, so idols are attached to gods. So if you want to know what gods to exclude based on name, first, you would exclude any god that's attached to an idol. That's number one. Read on.
But the Lord made the heavens.
But our God made the heavens. We're going to show you his name. Go ahead. Now, I need you to go to Colossians 2 and 18 to bring another point on why it's important. Why it's very important that we call on the correct name of the Most High. Read Colossians 2 and 18 for me, please.
Colossians 2 and 18. Let no man beguile you of your reward in heaven.
Do not let any man beguile you of your reward in heaven. Through what?
In a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels.
Voluntary humility. What that means? You're voluntarily giving over yourself, being humble. Maybe because it's your teacher. Okay? And the next thing you know, by not researching, you're worshiping some angels or gods. Because angels are Allahayans or elves or gods. Read that again.
Let no man beguile you of your reward.
Don't be beguiled or tricked of your reward. Read.
And a voluntary humility.
And having a voluntary humility. And that can happen. That can happen when you humble yourself under a teacher. And you're supposed to. You're supposed to humble yourself under a teacher. But no teacher is above the Most High. Read.
And worshiping of angels.
You have to make sure that teacher is not guiding you into a worship of an angel. Because if it's not the Most High, it's the worship of a fallen angel. And his name is Lucifer. His name is Lucifer. So you must be careful. The fallen one is very cunning. Very cunning. There's a lot of information we already have prepared, but there's a few scriptures coming to my mind that I need to get out before we actually go into the lesson. I need you to go to 2 Corinthians 11. And 13. 2 Corinthians 11 and 13. And the 14th verse. Read that.
2 Corinthians 11 and 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ.
So we know that there's a warning, according to Paul, that you have deceitful workers transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. Read.
And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
He's transformed into a what?
Into an angel of light.
Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Okay? So when Satan presents himself to the masses, you're looking for a guy with horns and a tail. But he's going to come to you as your God, as your angel of light. That's what we're trying to show you here. And we're going to prove that Satan have tricked the whole earth into calling on him. That cunning serpent have convinced the whole earth to call on him. Read.
Verse 15. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness.
So there's no great thing that if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness. So in the last days, you will see people who you think is righteous that are set up in your established religions, so to speak. And they're really ministers of the devil, ministers of Satan, bringing forth Satan's agenda. Read.
Whose end shall be according to their works.
And their end shall be according to their works. Because they decided to follow the dark works of Satan, they will fall with Satan. Okay, so we want to make sure some of you newer viewers, some of you brothers and sisters out there, don't get caught up. Just call on a name because you hear others call on the name. Because there's power. There is power behind the names you call. Whichever God you call on or pray to, you give power to that God. So don't just repeat things because you hear others say it. I hear a lot of people out there saying Yhwh, Jehovah, Yahweh, Yah, God, Jesus. They're saying a lot of different names, mainly because it was passed down through tradition or respect of their teachers, without research. But what is the Most High's name? Let's see. Let's go into it. Let's go to Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Let's go there. And we have a lot of books to go through. I'm going to do a little moving around soon, but stick with me. Why am I going to Exodus 3? Exodus 3 in the Bible, brothers and sisters, is the first place the Most High reveals his name to mankind. Now, mind you, we need to deal with the Bible as it is written. We don't have to add anything or take anything away. Okay? So if the Most High say, this is his name, this is his name. Okay, because I've shown this to many people within the last few years through the Spirit of the Most High. And I hear pushback like, well, this is just saying it's his title. When really, it says this is his name. So you have man, because they don't agree with what they're reading, they'll try to inject. Let's go to Exodus 3. And let's start at the let's start at the 10th verse. Read that.
Exodus 3 and 10. Come now therefore, and I will send unto thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
So the Most High appeared in a burning bush to Moses and said, come down therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. So here's the Most High giving Moses detailed instruction on what to do and how to do it, how to free the children of Israel. Read the 11th verse.
Verse 11. And Moses said unto the Most High, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve the Most High upon this mountain.
So, he told Moses to go and free his people so that his people can serve him. So his people could no longer serve Pharaoh and their gods. Okay? Israel was being released to serve their own God. Okay? Now before this, there was many gods in the earth. The Egyptians, as you know, till this day have many gods. Read.
Verse 13. And Moses said unto the Most High, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, the God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name?
What is his what?
What is his name?
Okay, with that highlighter right there. Pass me that highlighter. So that they can't think that I'm injecting this. All right? And Moses said unto the Most High, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? And what shall I say unto them? Get that so they can see it clearly, please. Got it? So, Moses is not asking the Most High, what is his title? Okay? He's asking the Most High, what is your name? When the people ask me, who are you? What should I tell them? Got it? So, Moses is not asking the Most High what is his title. Okay? He's asking the Most High, what is your name? When the people ask me, who are you? What should I tell them? Let me read it again. And Moses said unto the Most High, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel and say unto them, the God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name, and what shall I say unto them? So if someone come up to Moses and ask him, out of Israel, well, who is this guy? Who is he that you met? Moses now will be able to tell his people the name that was given to him. Okay? That's what this is. This is crystal clear. It's not plural. It's N-A-M-E. That's why I make sure we put it up in the camera so you can see it. So this is the name that we are about to read. Read.
Verse 14.
We're in Exodus 3 and 14. Follow us closely now.
And the Most High said unto Moses, I am that I am.
Now he's telling his name. I am that I am. That's the answer. Now, in normal circumstances, we would be able to just say, okay, it's over. That's it. Tape over. It's over. We should be able to pack up and leave. But we can't do that. Why? Because of all the names that have been given in this earth. We just can't leave. We should be able to just show the name and just say, okay, let's go, y'all. Let's finish up. But we can't. Because our people are caught up into these other gods and these other names that was given to them over here. And throughout the earth. It didn't just stop here. But we're going to go into that later. And the Most High said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say to the children of Israel, what, brother?
I am hath sent me unto you.
I am have sent me unto you. We have a JPS Hebrew Tanakh. Okay? Let me get Exodus 3 real quick out of this, because this is the Hebrew. All right? Now, it so happened that the JPS is the latest work of the so-called Masoretic text. We'll get to the Masoretes a little later. But at least in this text, in the English, they put his name. And we know that they are the Jewish Masoretes, because they took our records once we fell. When you look at this, it says Yhwh, and it says that because we know the Masoretes put vowel sounds within the Hebrew. Vowels came from Latin. Okay, between the 6th and 10th century, when the Masoretes were set up, they set up the Tetragrammaton and started using vowel sounds. But as you can see, it's Yhwh. The E sound is ah. The H sound is ha. And the Y-E-H is together, which is ya. Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya. When I come to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers have sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya. He continued, thus shall you say to the Israelites. Now, this is the God of the Israelites now. Ahaya sent me to you. Now, in the Hebrew, here it is right here. Ahaya Rawchaa, Yhwh in the Hebrew, which means I am that I am. Okay? Now that's in the Hebrew. Now the reason they could not change it right there, because if they would switch the name right there, they would have been exposed. Okay, they could not switch the name in Exodus 3. Because any brother or sister, mind you, that know Hebrew would know that I am is Yhwh. And if that was taken out and switched to something else, then the culprits would be exposed. So, they left it there. But every other place in the Bible and in the Hebrew text, they took that name out and injected another name. They kind of figured that, you know, if that's only one place in the Bible and every other name of God is the name they inject, then what's the chance of these people stumbling on the name? You have over thousands of names or thousands of passages with the name against one passage. So they could not take out the I am that I am, or that would have exposed them. So what they did, they went and changed every other part of the text as far as injecting the new name. And we're going to give you the new name and how they did it and when they did it. And we're going to show how that name became prevalent in our society today. Now, let me go there. Follow me here. So, based on what we've covered so far, Yhwh is the name we see in the JPS. It's Yhwh, but we know that the vowels were injected or inserted by Mazars. If the pronunciation is Yhwh in the ancient Phoenician, Yhwh, right? In the Hebrew, it's Yhwh, which means I am. Okay? It means I am. I just wanted to get that part out of the way by starting out with showing the correct name according to the scripts. Okay? And there's no way anyone can get around that. That's the name he gave Moses. I need you to finish reading in Exodus 3. Read the 15th verse.
Verse 15. And the Most High said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord power of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob have sent me unto you. This is my name forever.
So he's letting him know that he's the same God that was the power or God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? And he says, this is my name forever. All right? So that means if the correct teachings were taught in the earth, then everyone in the earth right now should be calling on Yhwh, if that's his name forever. Right? Read.
And this is my memorial unto all generations.
And this is my memorial unto all generations. Saying what? That this name should be passed down from generation to generation. I didn't know anything about Rawchaa growing up. So obviously something happened. Something happened. Now, the name that you'll see prominent all through the scripture, in the Torah, the Tanakh, the Tetragrammaton, which we're about to go into, is YHWH in the Tetragrammaton, or, follow me, Okay? Follow me. Okay? Let me get this real quick here. Pass me that here. No. Yeah, mark it. Thank you. Follow me. I missed something here. Which is, this is what you will see. YHWH, which comes from the Tetragrammaton, which is the 4 letters. The Masoretes breaks down as the name of the Most High. In the Hebrew, you will see Yhwh. That's the Phoenician pronunciation. Yhwh, Phoenician. Or Yahweh. Now this name Yahweh is what the Jewish people use for their God. The Phoenician is Yhwh. Or, if you want to say it in the English, Jehovah or Yahweh. Okay? Now, this name was injected by the Masoretes. Okay? This was injected by the Masoretes between the 6th and 10th century under the Masoretic text. If you look at that book here, let me grab it. You'll see one moment. Stick with me now. You'll see that the Jewish Publication Society here in Philadelphia is behind the print of these books here. The Jewish Publication Society. All right? So the Masoretes were Jewish, European. Okay? They were European. Okay? Primarily the families of the Russians and Germans today. All right? Now, that's the name you'll see that's prevalent all through the scriptures. So the question is why? If we know that the name of the Most High is Yhwh, and since that's the name he gave us forever, that we will never deviate from that name, how is it that the majority of the people in the earth is now calling on Yahweh, Jehovah, some people Yahweh, a very few groups doing that, and Yah? Why? Let's see. Go to Malachi 1 and 14 for me, please. Malachi 1 and 14. Read that.
Malachi 1 and 14. But cursed be the deceiver, which hath in his flock a mouth, and vowed and sacrificeth unto the Lord a corrupt thing.
Go ahead.
For I am a great king, saith the Lord of hosts.
He's a great king, saith the Lord of hosts. Read on.
And my name is dreadful among the heathen.
My name is what?
And my name is dreadful among the heathen.
The Most High's name is dreadful among the heathen. You know what that means? That means the heathen, or the Gentiles that are set up, don't like the Hebrews' God. They don't like his name. So when God's people fell, those same heathens became lords over us and made us serve their God. They took our records and opened our records and expelled the true name of the Hebrews' God and injected their name, their God's name. This was wicked. This was evil. It was a diabolical plot to hide the true God, the same God that saved the children of Israel from his people. But we're near the end. So now the Most High have revealed the name again. Get Jeremiah 8:8 for me, please. So his name is dreadful amongst the heathen. So you know his name cannot be the name Yahweh if the heathen is using it. But we're going to bring some facts to prove what we're showing here. Read.
Jeremiah 8:8.
Jeremiah 8:8. Read.
How do ye say, we are wise?
How do you say we are wise? Read.
And the law of the Lord is with us.
The law of the Lord is with us. Read.
Lo, certainly, in vain made ye it. The pen of the scribes is in vain.
So the Most High tells us that the pen of the scribes are in vain. So they went in and switched all those names for nothing. You should have known that the Most High would reveal his name. He did it before he delivered us before. So what the Masoretes and the Jewish people did are in vain. Now, this is what you have to examine. The names we're permanently using, Yahweh, Jehovah, were delivered to us by the Jewish people, which are Khazars. Jewish people in all black. And you would think that this book I'm showing would be something spiritual, or a book that would be exalting the law, since they're in it. But no, this book is Kabbalah. Kabbalah. An illustrated introduction to the esoteric heart of Jewish mysticism. Okay? Yes, mysticism is sorcery. Sorcery. And these are the same people calling on the YHWH. What is their connection? Is that the name of the Most High? Or whose name is it? We'll see. And this material here, just got a few excerpts from the book, The Da Vinci Code, The Hidden Agenda. Okay? And it says here, you got that? All right. It says here that the relationship between the Kabbalah and the Neoplatonism is apparent. A true Kabbalist must at the same time be a sorcerer. Okay? So if you're dealing with the Kabbalah religion, you are a witch, which is a female, conjurer or sorcerer, or a sorcerer, which is a male. So when you see those guys dressed in black next to the wall in Israel, or they have walking in black, those Jewish guys with the curly locks, these are sorcerers. They're Kabbalists. And they call on the name YHWH. Okay. They call on Yahweh. Now, or Jehovah. Now, you may ask a question. How is it that, how are they able to spread this name throughout the whole earth to the point where the children of Israel, even black people, would be calling on that name in the last days? We'll give you some information. You're going to find that it didn't start with them. It started with the children of Israel. Our people started going into different gods and started dealing with the gods of the other nations. We fell, and the Kabbalists and the Jewish Masoretes took it up. The Khazars continued in that worship. All right? Before we fell to it, the Babylonians had it. But you'll get all the research. All right? But you'll get all the research. Right? Let me give you, let me go into a few things when it comes to Yahweh or Jehovah, because they're interchangeable. Yahweh or Jehovah. In order for me to go into this, you must first understand the tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton, okay. Now the tetragrammaton was supposed to be the what you would call the reinserting or the revival of the YHWH, or the sound of the incommunicable name of God. So they said the only thing Masoretes did was put the vowel sounds, or the soundings of the letters. That was their job. That's what they claimed. But we know better. Okay? Because the tetragrammaton is connected with the Kabbalah. So this right here, the YHWH, or the Yahweh or Jehovah or Yahweh, is connected directly with the Kabbalah. Let me read this. It says, and this is a book called The Tetragrammaton, The Secret of Evoking Angelic Powers. Now remember the scripture we read earlier in Colossians, the 2nd chapter. That we cannot let no man beguile us of our reward, and involuntarily worshiping of angels, and an involuntary humility of worshiping of angels. It says here in the Tetragrammaton, the secret of evoking angelic powers and the key to the apocalypse. Is a book breaking down the truth of the Tetragrammaton. They claim that the only reason the Masoretes worked on the Tetragrammaton was to give mankind or their rabbi the right pronunciation of the name. But it was deeper than that. It was an introduction, or it was a international introduction of their God to the world. Okay? It says here, the central arcanum of Western religion, magic, and alchemy is the Tetragrammaton, IHVH. The Hebrew name of God with 4 letters that is declared by to be unutterable. So you're not supposed to say it, as they say. Throughout the history of Europe, you will see in an innumerable esoteric text, both Jewish and Christian, shining out from the supernatural triangle to shed its rays on the earth. It is the fundamental, or it is the foundation upon which the traditional Kabbalah is constructed. That you will see a supernatural, a shining out, a supernatural triangle to shed its rays on the earth. We know the triangle is what? The pyramid. Okay? Same pyramid you see in your dollar bill. Okay? The Messianic symbol shining through a pyramid. I wonder. Let's see. Let's see. We have more. Read this on the Tetragrammaton. Now you can get this from Sunday worship terms from pagan origin. Got it? I need you to read this paragraph. That's highlighted, then we'll show it on the screen. Read that.
The tradition of not speaking the name came into being during the rabbi's exile into Babylon. It was learned from the Babylonian religious practice.
It was learned from the Babylonian religious practice. What was learned from them? Read.
Of not speaking the names of their sun deities.
of not speaking the name of their son, the S-U-N deities. So not speaking the Most High's name, that was never written up in the scriptures that you're not supposed to speak the Most High's name. This was in ancient Babylon. That's where they got that from. Why?
For fear that their names were too holy and would bring disaster on their nation if they did so.
Go ahead.
The practice of not speaking the deity's name, hiding it from the people, and substituting titles for the name is called the art of ineffability.
It's called the art of what?
The art of ineffability.
There's an art of ineffability, of hiding a name and introducing another name. So that's what these Masoretes or Jewish people did. Read.
And it's based purely on fear, superstition, and man-made tradition.
And man-made tradition. Okay? I need y'all to read that because they tell you that they cannot say the name of the Most High. Or they say his name once a year, or the name that they are claiming is the name of the Most High. And that comes from the Babylonian riches because they are dealing with Babylonian riches. The pyramid, the light shining through the pyramid. What's that about? We're going to show you that in a moment also. How does that connect with the name? We'll show you that. You got it? Okay. Now, around the 10th century, the Masoretes, which are Jewish people, took our records, opened our records, and injected their names, the name of their gods, into our records. In the book of Psalms, all through the Bible, knowing that we were in captivity, knowing that, we weren't in a position to fight or argue the content of what they were divulging to the world or exposing to the world. It was not until the early 1900s our people started waking up to who we were. And it was too late. The name was already injected. But let's see if we can take you through some steps from the past, from ancient Israel all the way until today. Let's see if we can do that. Go to Judges, the 2nd chapter. We're going to take you way back, bring you up to the Masoretes, and bring you to today. Let's go to the book of Judges 2 and 11. And we're going to read through the 13th verse. Go ahead.
Judges 2 and 11. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord.
So our people, after coming out of Egypt, did evil. Read on.
And served Baalim.
And served who?
And served Baalim.
Remember that name. They served Baalim. B-A-A-L-I-M. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt.
So they forsook the I am, or Ahia. Read.
And followed of the gods of the people that were round about them.
They did what?
And followed of the gods of the people that were round about them.
That is key. So the children of Israel, our forefathers, after receiving the true understanding, fell and started following the gods of the people around them. Read.
And bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger.
And we made the Most High angry. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And they forsook the Lord, and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
They served who?
Baal and Ashtoreth.
They served Baal and Ashtoreth. Who's Baal? We'll show you in a moment. Is Baal connected to Jehovah? Could Baal be connected to Yahweh? Let's see. Just stick with us. We have a lot of information here. Read on. What verse you at now?
Verse 14.
Go ahead.
And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers.
And did what?
And delivered them into the hands of spoilers.
Go ahead.
And spoiled them. And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
See that? So something happened. Israel started following the gods, Baal or Baal. Gods that Moses didn't know. Okay? Not after Moses, after the Most High, the God of the Hebrews revealed himself to him. Gods Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't know. They didn't know anything about Balaam or serving Balaam or Balaam. So, when our people today say that in Israel's history and in our artifacts we can find certain names and they attach it to our people, that's correct. But that doesn't mean that the names that were attached to our ancient people were righteous. Don't forget, our people fell. Our people started going into these other gods and exalting these gods. So if they have these gods in their homes and teaching their children these wicked deities and Baalim, and make constructs to them, and you come 2,000 years later and look at it and say, I'm going to do it because my foreparents had it. Did that make you right? Or are you committing the same mistake your foreparents committed? Are you falling in the same error? Ask yourself. Let me get this book here. This book is called God, Goddesses, and Images of God. God, Goddesses, and Images of God. See that? In this book, okay, on page 205, let me go there. It says, now, in this book, so you can, I don't have the opportunity to read the whole book to you, but what this book is doing, this particular book is going into all the deities Israel followed. Okay? All of them. All the gods Israel followed in ancient times. Okay? It says here on page 205. Can you read that for me? It is probable.
It is probable.
Now, mind you, I want them to see this title up. Because we forgot the Most High's name for Baal. Baal, El, Yahweh, and his Asherah. And his Asherah. Okay? So when we read in Judges 3 and 13 that we serve Baal and Ashtaroth, that's Asherah. You see right here. So this links directly to the scriptures. Okay? Baal, El, Yahweh, and Asherah. So this goes into the scriptures and show you all the gods are. Don't forget, Israel fell over and over. You can find more passages of Israel falling and doing the wrong thing than the right thing. Okay? So don't think just because don't think because we find artifacts of Israel and a certain name of God with them that it's the God. Okay? Read that real quick. It is probable.
It is probable that both elements, Yhwh and Baal, refer to the same deity.
It says what?
Yhwh and Baal refer to the same deity.
So it's the same deities. Read.
Namely Yahweh, who was worshipped also as Baal in the Iron Age.
Read that again.
Namely Yahweh, who was worshipped also as Baal. an Iron Age.
So, Israel worshiped Yahweh as Baal in the Iron Age. See, we wasn't taught this history over here in slavery. Read.
In the Old Testament's Yahwistic transmission of tradition, the names Isbael, Yerubbaal, Maribaal, and Baal Yah toward the end of the period. The two names for the deity were apparently no longer interchangeable.
So, through time, the two names were no longer interchangeable. Baal and Yahweh during the Iron Age were the same. Okay. Before I go into the Mavericks to bring it to modern day, let's break down the word Yahweh. Or Jehovah. Or Yahweh. Yah or Jah. Before I go into the Mavericks now. Okay? Hold up the Strong's Concordance so that they can see that, please. Okay. And your exhaustive Strong's expanded concordance. That's a pretty good one there. From the Tetragrammaton, we get Yahweh or Yahweh, depending on what dialect you're speaking. Those that don't know how to use the Strong's Concordance, this name is only written in the Hebrew, so you would need to go into the Concordance Hebrew part in the back of your Concordance. You have your Hebrew and your Greek in your Strong's Concordance to give you the original words or the original names before the English translation. The right meaning for each word. This word, YHWH or Yahweh or Yahweh from the Tetragrammaton is 3068 in the Strong's Concordance. Can you get that out of there for me, please, brother? 3068 from the Strong's Concordance. $3068. You have it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you read what that say?
Jehovah. Jewish national name of God.
It's what?
Jewish national name of God.
So this is not all mankind's national name of God. This is the Jewish people's national name of God. But do we question where did they get that name from? Do we question it? How it becomes the Jewish national name of God? Like when they became a nation, they exalted this God from over Israel. Now we were in slavery. We had no idea what they were doing. We were still trying to make it over in here, build civil rights or what have you. We were still in a slave mentality. The majority of us didn't know anything. And when we did get the name, we received it from them. And I'm going to show you that. But that is the Jewish national name of God. Now I need you to hold that up and let them pan in so they can see that. Well, I'll move it up with you. You know you got it. You got it? Okay. Got it? Okay. So that's the Jewish national name of God. Okay? Now they said that they needed to make the Tetragrammaton, and this name, they went into it so that they could just get the pronunciations right. Well, let's break down the name. The first part of the name, let me move this over a little bit, is Yhwh. The first part of the name is Yhwh. Right? That's 3050 or 3050 in your Strongs. Can you get Yhwh out of there? You have
Yhwh.
Read what that is. Read that.
Yhwh, the same. Yhwh, the sacred name. The Lord, most vehement.
So, it's just telling you that Yhwh or Jah in 3050 is a sacred name. But the question is, sacred to who? Yhwh. It's not denoting good or evil. It's just saying sacred. Now we're going to get the second part of the Jewish national name of God. It's Yhwh or Yhwh. Okay? Because the B's and W's are interchangeable. Alright? As the Y's and the J's are interchangeable. Okay? Let's get Yhwh or Yhwh, and that's 1942 in your Strong's Concordance. So, Yah or Jah is sacred or a God. But what is Yhwh or Yhwh? So what is this sacred God the God of? Read.
Yhwh, in the sense of eagerly coveting.
It's eagerly what?
Coveting.
Eagerly coveting. Go ahead.
And rushing upon.
Rushing upon.
By implication of falling.
Fallen. Who's the fallen one? Read.
Desire.
I-N. Ruin. Read.
Calamity.
Calamity, which is mischief. Read.
Wickedness.
Wickedness. So this is the sacred God of wickedness. Read.
Perverse thing.
Perverse thing. Go ahead.
Mischief.
Mischief. Go ahead.
Noisome.
Noisome. Read.
Iniquity.
Iniquity, which is sin. Go ahead.
Substance.
Substance.
Naughtiness.
Naughtiness.
Naughty.
Naughty.
Mischievous.
Mischievous. Now I understand why it's the Jewish national name of God. Hold that up. Pass it to me, please. Yhwh or Yhwh is right there before you. The God or sacred God of wickedness, which is the same as Jehovah in the English. You got that? Now, first off, we're going to come back into this in a second. First off, we should not take anything sacred from the Jewish establishments that are set up, or the Jewish powers that are established in the earth today. Okay? That's number one. You have brothers out there that know that these people in Israel are not the Jews according to bloodline, and know that they're behind a lot of the mischief that's going on in the earth today, but yet they'll hold sacred the name the Jewish people gave to them. See, Yeshaya warned us of this. Go to Revelations 2 and 9 and Revelations 3 and 9. Revelations 2 and 9 and Revelations 3 and 9. Read that.
Revelations 2 and 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not.
The Lord says, Christ says, the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are who?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But are the synagogue of Satan. So whose name would they exalt? It's common sense. So Christ gave us clues on who not to listen to. The people that's claiming to be Jews and are not. But are the synagogue of Satan. Who worship in synagogues? So if the Most High's name is dreadful among the heathen, and his people have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and they have had hundreds of years with your records in your Hebrew, don't you think that they would have time with their military force and their monetary power to switch the names before you've awakened? And I'm putting this out there because brothers out there are holding on to those names that was given them. And you are attributing your spirituality to the name. When it's who you are, it's what's in you make you Israel. Okay? And sometimes in respect for your teachers, you just repeat what your teachers said. But the Most High was with you the whole time, before you had the name. We're just letting you know that you have to research beyond what was given. There's more. Yhwh and Jehovah are interchangeable. Okay? So, what they did, in the early 1500s, William Tinsdale, you may have heard of him, he's prominent in Christian theology. William Tinsdale gave us the first Bible with the name Jehovah in it. Okay? His name is William Tinsdale. Right? There's a few things I'm going to show you. Stick with me. Some pictures that I printed out of the name Jehovah. I have a lot of literature here, excuse me. I'm missing one thing. I got it right here. Okay, I have it. Here it is right here. Let me put this and then put this away. Put that there. Here is an excerpt of the original Bible. Okay? When they injected the name Jehovah. That means the Masoretes had so much power and might. They were able to influence the Catholic Church to do what they did in the Hebrew. Okay? And as you can see, the KJV had, the original one had Jehovah in red in the Old Testament. There's an excerpt from the original Bible where it shows Jehovah in red in different places. Okay? So there was an agreement in the church so that when our people start calling on the Most High, that we would call on Jehovah in the English. So the agreement is not only on the Judaism side, it's also on the Christianity side. You're going to find they're one in the same. They are one in the same. Okay? You got that? All right. Now, getting back to the Judaism part of things, it says this hand, this is something you would find in the Kabbalah under Judaism. Aleister Crowley, which was a known sorcerer, dealt with all this here, which was sorcery in Kabbalism. Linked directly to the YHWH. Okay? And as you can see, this is an ancient Judaism. Aleister Crowley, which was a known sorcerer, dealt with all this here, which was sorcery and Kabbalism, linked directly to the Yhwh. Okay? And as you can see, this is an ancient Judaism. So these are the things our people fell victim to in the Old Testament. The Jewish people just kept it going, right? Now, I'm going to read this excerpt. It says, consequently, supported the view that Yahweh derives from this Yah, and ultimately from Enki. It is also not gone unnoticed that the Egyptian word for moon was Yah, and the Semitic moon god was Sin, after which scholars believe Sinai and the surrounding wilderness of Sin were named. So that's where you get your Yah from. Came from Egypt. What people came out of Egypt? Israelites. Our people were enslaved, were afflicted 400 years in Egypt. So of course, we bring their gods out with us. So if you see information with Yah on it, understand that our people understood or learned the Egyptian gods when they were under the Egyptian gods' rule. Now, and you can get this off of Rawchaa, because in Egyptology it's called Law. And I'm going to read it. The Egyptian transliterated La, or Yah, or Jah. Now they threw this in our scriptures too, in Psalms. Don't forget what it said in Jeremiah 8:8. The pen of the scribes. They open up our records, and the pen of the scribes are in vain. La, or Yah, or Jah, was the word for moon. See that? Was the word for moon. You got that? And here it is in hieroglyphics. Okay. It says, and this is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, chapter 2. The chapter of coming forth by day and of living after death reads, saith Osiris, Ani Hell, only one shining from Yah, the moon. Hell, only one shining from Yah, the moon. Grant that this Osiris Ani may come forth among the multitudes which are round about thee. Let him be established as a dweller from the shining ones. We know the shining ones are who? The angels. And let the underworld be opened unto him. And behold, Osiris, Ani, shall come forth by day to do his will upon earth among the living. So these sorcerers and Kabbalists had knowledge of all these ancient gods. Okay? And while our people slept, they injected these gods in our records. So that even when our people make an earnest attempt to come to the Most High, we would still fall to the gods that destroyed us in the past. Now, I'm going to go into a few books. Then we're going to go right back to the Bible. But before I go into the books, I need you to go to Isaiah. Isaiah 14. Isaiah the 14th chapter. Now, some of these books I will go into, I would suggest you don't even deal with it. Some of the books I'm going into. But I had to go into some of these books to show you who these wicked people are really following. Okay? Go to Isaiah 14 and 12. Read that.
Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
We know Lucifer became Satan. Read.
Son of the morning.
Son of the what?
Son of the morning.
Which shine through, right? The morning star. Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. So that's Satan promising to one day go into the heavens, go into the stars. Read on.
I will sit upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north.
He claimed that he would sit in the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north. Go ahead.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Read.
I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. So Satan promised that one day he would be worshipped. He would be like the Most High. The Most High is to be worshipped. And he promised that he would one day get back into the heavens. How did that link to Yahweh or Jehovah? Or some of the deities Israel fell to? The Yhwh that we see today came out of Europe. Okay, there was no English language in the Middle East. I printed this off the Tetragrammaton, off the web. I'm going to read something for you, and you can, because I want to get through this kind of quick before I get back into the Bible. It says, these four letters are usually transliterated from Hebrew as IHVH in Latin, JHWH in German and French and Dutch, and YHWH in English. To let you know that this origin of the Tetragrammaton came strictly from Europe. So we're making a pronunciation of the Most High's name from Europeans. It says here, this was variously rendered as Yahweh or Jehovah, since in Latin there is no distinct lettering to distinguish Y from J or W from V, like I mentioned earlier. And in the Hebrew does not clearly indicate the omitted letter, the omitted vowels. The Hebrew don't even operate like that. In English translations, it is often rendered in small capital letters, as the following Jewish tradition, which reads the word as Adonai. I'm going to show you who Adonai is too. Lord, out of respect for the name of the Most High. And the commandment not to take the name of the Most High in vain. Now, taking the Most High name in vain is not, it's not you or I, making a decision not to say his name. That's not taking the Most High's name in vain. Okay? But they use that scripture to say we can't say the Most High's name, but we want to inject words like Al-Danai or certain words in the Bible. Now, giving them an excuse to tamper with the book. More. It says here, the word Hashem, the name is also used in Jewish context in Samaritan. Simi is the normal superstition. But what I wanted to show you here, and this is real small, but if you look at this, all the different names or pronunciations that we have today came strictly out of Europe, predominantly Germany. And we know who were there. Russia. Different parts of Europe. You have it? And I'm saying this because some of our people really believe that that's his name. Like Jehovah or Yahweh is the Most High's name. And didn't research past their religion or teacher. And this is real small. But if you look at this, all the different names or pronunciations that we have today came strictly out of Europe, predominantly Germany. And we know who were there. Russia. Different parts of Europe. You have it? And I'm saying this because some of our people really believe that that's his name. Like Jehovah or Yahweh is the Most High's name. And didn't research past their religion or teacher. Here is, now don't forget, Satan or Jehovah. Should I be able to do that? Yes. And I'm going to show you how. Satan or Jehovah promised that they would go to the Most High. Be like the Most High. Sit on his throne. This particular, let me get it here. This particular symbol you see right here is the name of Jehovah at a Norwegian church. It's like a Masonic church. Now you can't see it too clear here, but this is showing a pyramid going into the stars as Satan promised to do. To ascend into the stars. You see that? Now, I blew it up. Here's the same symbol blown up in Europe on a Norwegian church showing Jehovah going into the stars as Lucifer promised he would do. To set his throne above the Most High. To take down the Most High. See that? And that's Jehovah. I and J's are synonymous. That's your YHWH. That's not it. The Tetragrammaton at the 5th chapel of the Palace of Versailles in France. It so happened the same promise is being fulfilled in France with the Tetragrammaton at the 5th chapel. Here's the all-seeing pyramid inside the sun rays going into the clouds, as you can see here. And inside the pyramid, what do you see? You see Jehovah or Yahweh or Yahweh. Jah, which is God or sacred one. Hova, mischief, wickedness, ruin. In France. And these are all Masonic churches and Masonic buildings. You got that? You got it? Okay. It don't stop there. The Tetragrammaton Yahweh intended to pronounce Adonai, the Tetragrammaton. Here it is again, the pyramid, and this so happens to be, this particular one here is in Venice. Okay? It's in Europe, and it shows the all-seeing pyramid with the same name of the Tetragrammaton going out into space. Going out into the clouds. So did Satan deceive the whole earth into believing he was the Most High? Very cunning serpent. Okay. Now these churches that I'm mentioning here have history, prominent history from the early 1500s, 1600s. So, here's an amulet that the knights and the kings would get under the Masonic order. Here's the amulet they would get. That's an amulet that they would get if you were knighted or a king was appointed. And we know that the kings was working under Masonic orders, right? Now you might look at this and say, well, it's like a nice little charm. There's nothing to it. We blew it up. And what you have the name of the tetragrammaton inside the sun. Okay? So the kings would put this on, the Masonic kings. Now mind you, this is all up in Europe, and the Most High say his name is dreadful among the heathen. Okay? Here it is, here's a church in Switzerland, a Roman Catholic church, and in the cathedral, you have several Borgia, who they put up to be Christ, supposed to be the 12 disciples, and whose names you have right there under the 6-pointed star, because you have 3 stars top and 3 stars bottom. When you do the connect, it's a 6-pointed star in the Catholic Church, with the all-seeing owl under who? Jehovah. Right? I blew it up. Jehovah is the same as the tetragrammaton YHWH. Now you mean to tell us that the Catholic Church God is the God of all gods? He's the God of the Hebrews? This is interchangeable with the Jewish Masoretes YHWH from the tetragrammaton. Okay? Let's get back into the Bible. There's a few other things we have to show you. One other thing. This is big. We don't suggest you get this book because it's a lot of good information, but there's some bad information in it too, because it's the book of a dictionary of angels, including fallen angels. Okay, we went into this book for study purposes only. We don't suggest people get this book because it's a lot of stuff in here that's just out of this world. But we're going in here to show you that the people that are on the left-hand side is calling on the name the Hebrews have taken as their God. Okay? I'm going to get Jehovah out of this book. Jehovah, which is synonymous with Jehovah or Yahweh. What did it say right here, brother? You just read it right here.
Yhwh, one of the many names of Metatron.
One of the many names of Metatron. What? Jehovah, which is the same as the tetragrammaton. One of the many names of Metatron. Right? So you might ask, Metatron, that don't mean anything to me. Who's Metatron? Let's go into this book and find Metatron. What did this say, brother?
Metatron. El Shaddai.
Metatron is El Shaddai. So we need to stay away from that name too. Read it.
Reproduced from Mathers, the greater key of Solomon.
The greater key of Solomon. Because we know Solomon went off and started dealing with the same wicked gods. Who's Metatron? Here he is, brothers and sisters. Here's your Yhwh. That's Yhwh or Yahweh. All right. Now, you would think that if the Most High's name was dreadful among the heathen, why are the heathens using this name as the prominent or one of the highest gods in their worship? Let's get the information out of that real quick before we get back into the scriptures. What you got in there? Before we show the witch's God. Where you at?
This is page 54, Codex Magic.
Okay, show the book we're going into. Codex Magica. What is Codex Magica? Codex Magica is by Tex Mars, which was a Christian, who sought fit to looked into the government and the entertainment societies, along with the high politicians, and noticed that and seen that they all had one thing in common, that they followed the same God. Okay? That they would throw up the Baphomet. That these people, these influential people in the earth, received their power through Satan. Okay? Let's read what you have on page 54 when it comes to the lost name of God. Read it.
The lost name of God. The Blue Lodge Masons.
Now we know the name of the Most High is not lost. The Most High told Israel, I am that I am. Tell them I hired. Sent you to them. So it seemed like these guys lost the Most High's name on purpose to bring forth their own God. Read.
The Blue Lodge Masons, encompassing the first 3 degrees of masonry, are instructed that they are seeking the lost word or the lost name of God.
So in masonry, they trick people into masonry at low degrees, telling them that, if you stay in, we're going to give you the true name of God. Read.
It isn't until they reach the level of Royal Arch Masonry, 7th degree.
So once they get to the 7th degree, which is the York Rite, read on.
That they discover the lost name of God.
At that time, they, quote unquote, get the lost name of God. But what God? We read in Psalms, there's many gods. Read.
They discover that the lost name of God wasn't lost after all. It's at this level that they learn the sacred name of Masonry's God. They find that the sacred name of the Masonic God is composed of 3 names.
They find out that the name of their God, the Mason's God, compiles from 3 separate names. What's that?
Representing the 3 identities of God.
What's that?
It is so sacred that the 3 Royal Arch Masons are able to speak it. Skip over that.
Go right to it. What are the 3 names?
The name Javelin has 3 syllables.
So the name Javelin had 3 syllables. That's the name you get once you pass the 7th degree in Masonry. Read.
Representing a composite God made up of 3 subordinate deities. The Masonic material identifies the 3 as Yah or Yahweh.
Hold up. One of the 3 is what? Yah or Yahweh. Hold that paper for me. Grab that. Yah or Yahweh. It's one of the 3 deities you get once you get past the 7th level of Masonry. And they put all 3 of these gods together. You got that? Read that last part again.
The name Javelin has 3 syllables, representing a composite made up of 3 subordinate deities.
Oh yeah?
The Masonic material identifies the 3 as Yah or Yahweh, Baal, and Osiris.
Baal and Osiris. Now don't forget, we read earlier that it came a point where Baal and Yahweh became interchangeable. Read.
Logically, The name should be spelled Yhwh. The Duncan's Masonic ritual and monitor and mix, that over the years the spelling has been corrupted by Freemasonry until it reached its current form. Decker correctly asserts that what these men are doing is worshiping a demon.
They're worshiping a what?
Worshiping a demon God.
They're worshiping a demon God. See, that's one of the reasons people can't let that name go. That demon have power over people, man. It's sorcery. Especially if you have the star Moloch in there. The star Moloch, which is a six-pointed star, that's a vortex for spirits. So that's why these people can't let the name or these symbols go. They're under a spell. Read on.
So far removed from the real God, that the worship must surely defile the holiness of God, and guarantee those who pronounce that name in such a ceremony a swift ride to hell.
So if you do that name in their ceremonies that they actually do, in these Masonic rites, it gives you almost a guarantee, a swift ride to hell. Now in the book, we skipped over the chant because we're not into that, okay? We just follow the Most High. But at the end of their chant that they do to their God, the name at the end of the chant is Jehovah, right there with my finger. You see that? The name at the end of the chant is Jehovah, which is synonymous to the tetragrammaton YHWH. Okay? Now I want to make this clear before we continue. Okay? At one point, when I first found out that I was a Hebrew Israelite, I was under a group or some teachers that taught us that Yhwh or Yahweh was the name of the Most High. All right? Of course, I called on it. You know, I found out that we're the chosen people. I found out that, you know, we're the people of the book. All this information they had, there was no way for me to know that they would lie to me about the name of the Most High. So in respect to my teachers, the same teachers that gave me certain information, I respected them enough to say, okay, if that's the name of God, I don't know Hebrew, I'll say it. But that was in my ignorance. Okay, I didn't research where my teachers got that name from. I didn't do it. I did not research it at all. I just received it because it was more than I was getting in the Christian church. But when you come down to it, it's all the same gods. You go out of the Christian church to call on a higher deity on the left-hand side. Okay, Satan vices, man, his devices are manifold. You would jump out of the pot into the frying pan. So I wasn't exempt. At one point, I called on those names until the Most High started revealing understanding through baptism, prayer, coming to the Most High, and eventually He revealed the information. Okay? And it was up to us to stand with what we knew was right, and to eventually give it to the people before the deliverance. I wanted to say that. Now let's get back into it. Also in the book Codex Magica, we ran into another book. Get it out of there for me if you don't mind. I think it's right here, right? We ran into a book in Codex Magica, which is called The Witch's Guide. Okay? In this book, it shows us who is the highest God worshipped in witchcraft. It so happened that while a brother was here in Philadelphia, a brother from Baltimore, he went downtown because he noticed this book was in Codex Magica, and he seen this book for almost pennies in a stack of books. He found it by mistake. He recognized it because it was a book that was highlighted or promoted in Codex Magicum. So in this book, it gives us the name of the witch's god. You wouldn't take a wild guess and figure out what name the witches are worshiping. Take a guess. What's the page number on that? Okay. Thank you. All right. I need you to read Yhwh here for me. What does it say on the Yhwh, which is the tetragrammaton? And what is Yhwh doing in the witch's god? Read that for me here. Muhammad regarded.
Yahweh. Muhammad regarded the Jewish and Christian God as being Allah's will.
As being what?
Muhammad regarded the Jewish and Christian God as being Allah.
As being Allah. So, Yahweh and Allah is interchangeable. They're the same deities. That's the reason the Jewish people and the Arabs are fighting for the same territory and worshiping at the same wall. Okay? They're dealing with the same God. Because Satan has set up his temple over in Israel. When our temple was sacked in 70 AD, that's where Satan had been ruling from. Okay? So whoever controlled that area gets direct access to the fallen one. It says right here that it's interchangeable. Yahweh. Yahweh, Muhammad regarded the Jewish Christian God as being Allah. See that? Now this book, this is the book for witches. Brothers and sisters, you have to wake up. The Most High gave us his name. We really have to wake up. Now after we do this, we can throw this stuff away. To tell you the truth, it does us no good. We went into it because we know that the Most High say that the people that are ruling are the synagogue of Satan. They're sorcerers. They're Kabbalists. So we had to go into this information to show you who God you're really following. And it won't be the first time, Israel. We fell to these gods in the Old Testament. Let me get this here. Page 125. Read this for me real quick, brother. In this book, mind you, there's a chapter on Zeus, which is one of the Greek gods, the highest Greek god, Greeks and the Romans, right? Now, let me just show you a few pictures in here. Just so, I'm sure you don't want, it goes into Easter everything, like the real spirit, the witches being on that day, on Easter. It goes into what they really be doing on so-called Christmas. And see, see these people sitting around here butt naked in a circle. These are witches and warlocks. These are witches and warlocks here. Okay? And these witches and warlocks be dealing with this right here, the horn one. And it looks like a woman to you, don't it? No, that's a man. But that's the spirit of the fallen. That's the spirit of the fallen. Okay? As you can see here, what do it say here about Athens' part when it breaks down Zeus? Read what does it say?
and goddesses. If you please, we've been declared redundant wherever Yahweh's in charge. What? But Yahweh has a wife himself.
Yahweh have a wife himself. Read.
What's happened to Ashtoreth?
So Ashtoreth is Yahweh's wife in mythology. Read. Which we know is Nimrod and Semiramis. Read.
What's happened to Ashtoreth? Divorce and oblivion. To be fair, I think it's the priesthood to blame more than Yahweh himself, you see. See?
It tell you that Yahweh is married to Ashtoreth. Right here. Make sure I have my finger on it. Ashtoreth is the same goddess that our people were worshiping in the Old Testament in the book of Judges before they fell. Yahweh and Baal is interchangeable. It's the same goddess that our people were worshiping in the Old Testament in the book of Judges before they fell. Yahweh and Baal is interchangeable. That's why the Jewish people worship the name of the tetragrammaton. That's why witches do it. Now we can put this stuff to the side. We don't need none of this stuff. We just want to go into it to show you all, brothers and sisters, that we have to examine everything we receive in captivity. Why are we calling on the names of the tetragrammaton? This is why. This is why. I'm going to read, dealing with the compilation of the tetragrammaton. It says, the German rationalist Heinrich Yhwh, between 1803 and 1875, that's when he died, was the first to popularize the form Yhwh, followed by the eminent E.W. Hingetsberg, who died in 1869, promoting Yhwh. I want y'all to see this now. So who made this name prevalent in modern time? Okay. This is breaking down the tetragrammaton. Let me go ahead so I can show you what we're reading here, and you can get it yourself. Who is the deity named Yahweh? All right? Now, again, I'm going to read it, and I want you to follow it here. The German rationalist Heinrich Yhwh, died 1875, was the first to popularize the form Yahweh, followed by the eminent W. Hinstenberg, who died 1869, promoting Yhwh, which is Yahweh or Yahweh. So they started promoting this. Who is this? These are two Europeans. Okay? Here's a picture. Here's a picture of the one here. Hingetsberg, which is Jewish. Is that clear? Jewish. Heinrich Yhwh. Let's see if we have a picture of him somewhere. Heinrich Yhwh, which is Jewish. Okay? These are Jewish people. Now, how do you get this information to filter amongst the community of the real Jews here in America? Because they knew one day that our people would wake up. They knew that the Spirit would come on God's people to find their true heritage. So they had to also set up their minions and their teachers amongst our people to bring information, to bring the name of their God. So who did they set up? Let's see. It says here, let me get on this side of things here, because I know I'm getting over here with you all. It says here, the black Jews of Harlem are a minority ethnic group in New York, who was first appeared in the early 1900s. By 1930, there were at least 4 groups of black Jews in Harlem. The most important of these groups was the Commandment Keepers Holy Church of the Living God. Commandment Keepers founder, Rabbi, so he was a rabbi under the Jewish people. Rabbi Matthew described the natural link between people of African descent and Judaism, which he claimed extended from Abraham through King Solomon of Israel and Queen Sheba of Ethiopia. And of course, they didn't have the full understanding at that time. But as you can see, in the early 1900s, the spirit started moving in America. And the black people were starting to take on Judaism in Harlem, New York. But this particular guy, which was Rabbi Matthew, didn't bring a higher. He was studying under the rabbis. So who name did he bring forth? To the Americas, to the black people? The YHWH from the Tetragrammaton. Okay? Now, let's get back into the Bible. I think we have one more picture before we get back into the Bible, right? Grab me that over there in the book here. The Lord says a picture says 1,000 words. I mean, not the Lord, but they say a picture says 1,000 words. You got it? Okay. All right. Now, in this book, signs and symbols. Okay? It shows here in signs and symbols, under alchemy, the pyramid and a name coming out of the sun. Okay? You're going to have to really link into this. But at the top of the sun, coming out of the sun, is who? The same as this. If it was possible, they would deceive the very elect. If it was possible. You're talking about thousands of years of deception. Only through the Spirit of the Most High we would get the truth and understanding. Now, because we fell, they were able to take our records and manipulate our records. Okay? They gave them an opportunity to place names in certain places. Like, I'm going to give you an example. Let's go to Exodus 6 and 3, which is only 3 chapters after the Most High gave his name. Exodus 6 and 3, right? Exodus 6:3. Read that.
Exodus 6 and 3. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of God Almighty.
Read the second verse.
Verse 2. And the Most High spake unto Moses, and said unto him, I am the Lord. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of the Most High Almighty.
Which is El Almighty, because it's 410 in your Hebrew, which is El, which means a power. Now, he didn't denote what power during the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he didn't give his name to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's why he was just known as El Almighty. Read.
But by my name Jehovah was I not known to them.
But by my name Jehovah was I not known to them. Now we know that this is a Masoretic injection. Number one, there was no J's or B's in the English. That's number one, even back then. Okay? Or J's or U's, which are synonymous with B's. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the name that wasn't revealed to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was Yhwh. We read that in Exodus the 3rd chapter and the 14th and 15th verse. That was the name. Let me read it. In 15, and the Most High said more unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. So the name that was not revealed to Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob was Yhwh, which is I am in the 14th verse. So the name that was not revealed to Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob was Yhwh, which is I am in the 14th verse. So this is perfect proof how the Masoretes and the Catholic Church started injecting the name Jehovah in our records. Because the Most High didn't tell Moses, Jehovah have sent me to the children of Israel. He never said that. He said, tell them I am sent you. That's the name that was not revealed to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Go to Genesis real quick. Hold that. Get Genesis 22 and 14. Now don't forget, the Most High's name was revealed when? Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Genesis 22. You there? Mm-hmm. Now read the 14th verse.
Genesis 22 and 14.
Start at the 13th verse.
Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
Go ahead.
And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, and the mount of the Lord it shall be seen.
Okay, so how could Abraham call the name of that area Jehovah Jireh if in Genesis, the 6th chapter, it says, but by my name Jehovah was I not known to them? That's crystal clear. See, they injected Jehovah in so many places that they have contradicted themselves. So if you go into the original Hebrew, it makes it clear that Jehovah or Jehovah in Genesis 22 is 4:10. This is what you will see. El will see, or El will see, or Al. That's the word you will see instead of Jehovah in Genesis 22. So the Masoretes started injecting Jehovah all through the scriptures in the English. And then they started a group called the Jehovah Witnesses to really promote the name all over the world. So now they can get you in English and they can get you in Hebrew, calling on the fallen one. The same name the witches and sorcerers and the Kabbalists are calling on. Speaking of Kabbalah, I almost forgot this. It says right here, and the Hasidim devoted themselves to scrutinizing the Torah for hidden codes. They was doing more than trying to find hidden codes.
Each mark and letter of the Torah was counted, analyzed, and given a value and manipulated. So what did they do? They manipulated our Torah. Who did it? These guys did it. They did it. Okay? But if you go into the original Hebrew, get yourself a Strong's Concordance, and you can clearly see. See, they didn't expect you. See, you don't even read books anymore anyway. So they didn't expect our people to read beyond the Bible they gave us. They didn't expect us to go into the Hebrew. All right. So Jehovah was never given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Moses. That was injected. Okay. So when you see Jah in Psalms, that was injected. Okay. All these names link directly to the Jewish Masoretes, or the synagogue of Satan. And that information came predominantly out of Europe. Wake up, folks. Okay? You're still a Hebrew if you don't call on that name. You're still a child of the Most High. Okay, let's get Jeremiah 23, if you don't mind. Jeremiah 23 and 26 and 27. And I'm going into this right now, brothers and sisters, because the Most High warned our prophets and teachers. He warns the prophets and teachers when it comes to this. Read Jeremiah 23 and 26. Read that. And 27.
Jeremiah 23 and 26. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies?
People prophesy lies. Let's see. Read.
Verse 27. Which think to cause my people to forget my name.
To cause them to do what?
To forget my name.
To forget the Most High's name. And that's proof that the Most High have one name. He have one name. And we're making our people forget the Most High's name. I think the Most High delivered us from Egypt and gave us that sacred name. Gave us that name, I am, through Moses, so that we could forget it. And give all the credit to a golden calf or to another god. It sounds like Israel, right? Read.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.
For our fathers have forgotten the Most High's name for Baal. We're giving Baal all the credit. All the rich spirit the Most High has given us now, giving us our heritage back, our understanding back, sending His Son. All the revelation He's given us to go through these scriptures. And we're going to give all that credit right back to Baal, or Jehovah, or Yahweh. And I know it's tough for some people because this is all you've known. Some people have grown up and have their fathers. From a child, you was taught Yahweh and Yah. I mean, listen, I know what a lot of brothers are going through. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I seen the Most High's name in the Hebrew. When I started going into the Hebrew, I'm like, well, that means everything I learned was a lie. That's what I was thinking at first, but then I understood. Well, okay, it's not everything I learned. Okay, I know I'm an Israelite. I know that Christ came and died for my sins. But I also know that Satan, everywhere the Most High is, Satan tried to creep in. So we must examine everything. So Satan is trying to take all the credit for what the Most High gave us. Okay? So I was able to separate him from what the Most High was giving us. So can you. We can't forget the Most High's name for Baal. We must always be mindful of that. Who is Baal or Baal? Let's see. Let's get Hosea, the 2nd chapter. Hosea 2:16.
Hosea 2:16.
Read that.
And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Yhwh, and shalt call me no more Baal.
The Lord says that we shall call him Yhwh, and no more Baal. I need you to give me the Strong's number for Yhwh. Follow us now.
Hosea 2:16.
Read that.
And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Yhwh, and shalt call me no more Baal.
The Lord says that we shall call him Yhwh, and no more Baal. I need you to give me the Strong's number for Yhwh. Follow us now.
$34.69.
3469 is Yhwh. Let me go over here. We should no longer call him what?
Baal.
We should no longer call him Baal, but Yhwh. Yhwh. What is Yhwh there? You have that highlighted?
Mm-hmm.
What number is it?
3469.
3469 is Yhwh. What is Yhwh there? Read it.
Yeshaya.
Who?
Yeshaya.
Yhwh is Yeshua. For those that want to ignore Christ's name. We will put off in the Old Testament to be married to the bridegroom, which would come. Yeshua. Yeshua will be our husband. Yhwh is Yeshua for those that wanted to see Christ's name in the Old Testament. Yeshua. That's not Isaiah, it's Yhwh. Yeshua. Let's show it in the book in case they think that I just wrote that down. Yhwh. Yeshua in the Hebrew. You got it? So we will call him Yhwh. Okay, he came to be the groom for Israel. So his name is Yhwh. Yeshua. Read. And no more what?
And shall call me no more Baal.
So first of all, we know in the Old Testament that we would forget the Most High's name for Baal. And the Most High told his people, one day we will no longer call him Baal, but who? Yhwh. Read the whole verse again, 2:16.
Hosea 2:16. And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Yhwh, and shalt call me no more Baal.
You shall no longer call the Most High Baal. What number is Baal in the Strong's?
1180.
Let's get 1180 out of there. You have it? 1180. I need you to read the definition of 1180 for Belly. Read it.
Belly, my master.
My master. So we should no longer call him, because we know Satan was the master under Baal. This is Belly now. Read.
A symbolic name for Jehovah.
A symbolic name for who?
A symbolic name for Jehovah.
So we'll call Yhwh, and we'll no longer call Jehovah or the Tetragrammaton Yahweh. Jehovah is Yahweh in the English. So that's crystal clear. That's crystal clear. So if you're trying to hold the Tetragrammaton as the gospel truth, you're making a big mistake. The Jewish people are behind the Tetragrammaton. The same Jewish people that are now planning with the Zionist movement to get rid of the children of Israel. Let's get Romans 10 and 13. Romans 10 and 13. You can go ahead.
Romans 10 and 13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
So if we call on the Most High, we shall be saved. Read.
Verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
How can you call on him on whom you've not believed? Read.
And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard?
You've never heard Yhwh. Read.
And how shall they hear without a preacher?
How can you hear without the preachers that will come out and preach the Most High's real name and the truth of him? Read.
Verse 15. And how shall they preach except they be sent?
We were sent by the Most High, whether people want to accept it or not. Yeah, we're men, but we're servants. And we will not move from this. We did the research for you, so you can go research it yourself. You're going to come to the same conclusion, that you were deceived. As we were deceived. But now we must let go belly for issue. That's what we're preaching. Read.
And how shall they preach except they be sent?
We were sent by the Most High. Read.
As it is written. How beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
And that's what we preach, the gospel of peace. Peace between the Most High and Israel. We're warring against him. We're still following the gods of the nations. We're teaching the gospel of peace. The baptism, the laying on of hands, the forgiveness, repentance, the love. And the Most High revealed his name through the Holy Spirit. And we received the name after we understood that baptism was correct. The people that, the brothers that have received this information of us being Israel from the past, they were strictly, there was almost like 90% of what they were teaching was the same rituals and the same services as the Jewish Masoretes, as the Jewish synagogues. So, of course, they started getting to the information of us being Israel, coming over in cargo slave ships. But knowing Christ and learning Christ and making Christ the cornerstone of the gospel, it wasn't so in the early 1900s, up until this time. Okay, so the Most High have revealed his name. And it's up to us to walk in it and call the same name he gave to Moses. It's simple. I am. In the Hebrew, it's Yhwh. St. John 8:58. Let's see what Christ had to say.
St. John 8:58. Yeshua said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am.
Before Abraham was, I am. That's who existed. I am. I am in the Hebrew is Yhwh. And see, the Kabbalists and the Jewish people that are established today, they don't believe in Christ. They say that Christ, in the Kabbalah, it states that Christ is in hell, suffering in human feces. That's what they teach in their Kabbalah. So they don't respect Christ. They don't respect the I am of Christ. Because Christ was part of the Godhead. The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It was Christ that was sent to deliver the commandments to Moses. And sisters. So let's just say hypothetically, we don't want to accept this. That you out there, you want to stick with the name regardless of what you've seen today. I have to leave you with the scripture. Revelations 11, start at 12 through 14. Jeremiah 11. So if you decide that you don't want to deal with it, that you learned the name Yahweh or Yah from your youth and you're going to stick with it, there's nothing we can do. We give you all the information. And if you can show someone how Yahweh or Yah breaks down in the Hebrew to I am, which you cannot do that. It's impossible because it don't translate to I am. If you can't do that, be very careful. But let's see if you decide to hold on to these names that was given to you. What's the future? Jeremiah 11 and 12 through 14. We're going to let the Most High speak. Read it.
Jeremiah 11 and 12. Then shall the cities of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem go and cry unto the gods, unto whom they offer incense, but they shall not save them at all in the time of their trouble.
So if you're dealing with the God of the nations, or Baal, he's not going to save you in your time of trouble, and trouble is coming. Read.
Verse 13. For according to the number of thy cities were thy gods, O Judah, and according to the numbers of the streets, O Jerusalem, have ye set up offers, and them shameful thing.
You set up altars and what?
Set up offers to that shameful thing, even altars to burn incense unto Baal.
So you set up altars or places of worship to deal with Baal, which we know now is Jehovah, which is the English name of the Tetragrammaton Yahweh. Read.
Verse 14. Therefore pray not thou for this people.
So the Lord say we can't pray for those people. Therefore pray not thou for this people. Read.
Neither lift up a cry or prayer.
Neither lift up a cry or prayer for them. Read.
For I will not hear them in the time that they cry unto me for their trouble.
He says he will not hear when you cry in the time of your trouble. So if you are calling on the wrong God, when it's time, who will save you? And it's the God of Israel, Yhwh, the I am, written of in Exodus 13, the 3rd chapter. in the 13th through the 15th verse that have revealed the baptism, the laying on of hands, the preaching, and the knowledge that we must soon leave here. With that, we praise Yhwh and his son, Yhwh. Shalom.